Hello everyone. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. It's time for our panel with digital identity and cybersecurity. And we have our panelists. We have Vladimír Vaňo, Roman Čerešňák, our keynote speaker, and Ondrej Dvořák. And I would like to welcome everyone to the afternoon session of Finweek Bratislava 2025. It's an honor to moderate all the panels I've been moderating so far, and I hope this one is going to be equally good as the previous ones. Before we begin, I would like to thank our partners making this event possible. Thanks to our main partners, Ministry of Finance of the Slovak Republic, National Bank of Slovakia, and Visa. A special thanks to our conference partners, Slovakia Travel, Embassy of Poland in Bratislava, CRIF Slovak Credit Bureau, DECTA, Golden Gate, Blick, DevOps Group, Fumbi, Bratislava Stock Exchange, TPA Slovensko, Prosper and Pavlović, University of Economics in Bratislava, and Matej Bell University in Banska Bystrica. We also would like to thank our AI stream partners, TechMates, and our official networking partner, eIDAS. And a big thanks to all our supporters and media partners. So let's, without no further ado, introduce our keynote speaker. Roman Čerešňák, welcome.
So thank you very much for introduction. As you mentioned, yes, I'm Roman Čerešňák. I'm AWS solution architect focusing definitely on AWS. And today I would like to introduce you our solution that is focusing on fraud detection. Currently, we live in an era that many SMS messages, emails, or different kinds of calls are during per day, and we need to, let's say, sort which emails, SMS messages, or call are fraud or not, if they is correct, if in some particular situation can anything occur, and definitely some or another people try to, let's say, make some profit from people that do not know what to do or are in some stress or emotional part. For this situation, we have a customer that call us and mentioned that, yeah, we have lots of, let's say, fraud. We have lots of data, and based on the data, we need to, let's say, identify which data are based on some bank institution, some data are basically on, let's say, some fraud detection, and based on that, we create a solution that is able to positively or, let's say, effectively sort the, let's say, bank institution and so on, and based on that, introduce if the situation or the, let's say, some payment situation are bad or good for the customer. Based on that, we had several discussions, and each discussion is, let's say, leads in several ways. For one, customers will, let's say, make some review of his architecture. Based on that, we check the data that the customer has, and based on that, provide lots of, let's say, solution or update some algorithm. These algorithms are strictly based on data because data is everywhere and need to be able to sort the data based on specific situation. When we, let's say, are working with algorithm and working with fraud detection, we need to sort the data because when we work with mass data, we receive mass model, right? And it is really bad for the customer, for the institution, and so on, so on. What is another very important part is to work with batch data and also data that come to our solution with real time, right? And based on that, we need to update the model, let's say change the model, change the characteristic, for example, update the hyperparameters that are, let's say, input parts of our algorithm. Based on that, we need to, let's say, divide data based on some particular situation. Because we know that data is definitely everywhere and our algorithm needs to be trained on some specific data. After that, we validate our solution and provide or test our algorithm to, let's say, another or different data. Based on that, we make some, let's say, repetition process where we are able to improve our algorithms or improve our model, and based on that, we are able to provide this model to our customer, right? When we are working with defining the data, with modeling model or divided specific situation, we need to involve customer. Customers is very important for us, and for this reason or for the specific situation like buying some stuff on eShop, we need to improve the process of paying, for example, or definitely we need to improve the process of checking if the situation or the processing is correct or not. I mean, if the process is fraud or not. Based on that, we are checking in the real time if the process or the eShop is, let's say, is correct or the payment is right. And based on that, we are able to measure, or we are able to make a decision based on the situation, and this situation are handled by the AI model. For this particular reason, we have lots of rules, lots of permission, and based on that, we can clearly mention to the bank institution that, yeah, this website is correct, or if the customer want to pay something, it is, let's say, 50-50 that some money can be stolen. For the reason, we need to cooperate with the data, we need to tune some parameters, we need to definitely clean specific data, because we need to only work with data that are specific for the current situation, and after that we need to choose some specific algorithm. In many ways, we don't use only one algorithm, because with the mixing of different kinds of algorithms, we are able to create the best possible solution for the specific customer. However, when we create some models or when we create a solution, there is no the end of the, let's say, process, because the algorithm or the model needs to adapt on the data on the real time, and definitely data that come as a batch process in the batch processes. For that reason, we definitely need to be able to say to customer that, okay, your current model is good for this specific situation. The model is reliable on, let's say, this kind of level. And based on that, customer need to decide if the accuracy of the model is good enough for him or not. If the model is not enough for the customer, we make, let's say, or run different kind of test processes. And based on that, the model is, let's say, provided to the customer. Customers all sometimes mention that if it is possible to use model that is already trained to some specific data, or is, let's say, more or less accurate on the certain percent of usage. Yeah, definitely it is possible to use different kinds of models that are already created, but we already mentioned that, yeah, the created model is trained and tested on specific type of data. These data definitely are, let's say, from some kind of institution, but it is not trained on the model that the customer gain or the institution own. And based on that, we try to use or create the algorithms based on customers' data, and based on that, provide some restriction, always provide some monitoring stuff, and so on, so on. So it is basically the model is created on the customer's needs and the customer data. When we're talking about the result, definitely what is necessary to mention that this process is able to minimize the human approach. Because when some situation occur, we define some rules, some permission, or some, let's say, some definition that are able to replace human touch. And this is definitely a good way how to reduce the human work. But definitely the process of detection of fraud situation is, let's say, in financial situation or financial institution, really good way how to, let's say, satisfy the customer, how don't lose any kind of data in specific type of situation. When we are talking with the customers, we definitely have different kind of situation. I mean, for example, we make some review of the fraud detection situation, some, let's say, review of architecture. And based on that, we are able to provide some POC for each customer. This POC can be financed by the AWS cloud, but definitely we need lots of, let's say, engineering stuff, machine learning stuff, data scientific stuff, and so on. And based on that, we are able to create the architecture, and definitely the architecture need to be able to handle any kind of increasing number of fraud detection situation, lots of, let's say, human stuff, and so on. So definitely, as I mentioned, it is not just about data that we're collecting through the years, but definitely we need to work with data that come to our solution in real time. Here is, let's say, a small architecture of one of our customers. It is not definitely 100% architecture of the customer. It is just a small part, I mean, only part that focusing on AI. And based on that, we are able to, or we created the architecture that is highly available. It is able to handle thousands of customers or thousands of situations that occur during few seconds. And definitely we are able to monitor or log the situation that were not correctly, let's say, labeled, or the situation that were not marked as a fraud situation. So basically, that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Great introductory speech, and I really like the idea that you show the graphs, how it actually work. So as I could see that for the model evaluation with the training data, validation data, and testing data, that's basically a data mining model, I would say.
Exactly.
So it can be useful in not only your business when it comes to this kind of fraud detection, but for any kind of fraud detection in my world.
Yeah, definitely, because when the data... Thank you. Many institutions, like a bank institution or different kinds of, let's say, insurance and so on, have quite a similar data. But when we're talking about the data, we need to choose only specific kind of data or specific type of data that are focusing on each field, right? For example, bank, financial institution, insurance, and so on. And based on that, we need to, let's say, make some engineering, definitely some prompt or, let's say, label data, and so on. And based on that, we are able to update our model based on the following situation. If the situation change, just we need to, let's say, update the data or update how to handle with the data. And after that, the model is updated.
Great. I think it's crystal clear. Do we have Dr. Kevin here? He will not connect, okay. Okay, hopefully we'll get him into the panel a little bit later. In that case, we'll continue with the people we actually have on stage. Please, you will have 1 to 2 minutes to introduce yourself, as well as giving some information about who you are and what interests you in the context of digital identity and cybersecurity.
Okay, thank you, Han. My name is Ondřej Ružák, and today I'm representing CRIF as a group, as a provider of credit bureau. But for a very long time, it's not only the credit bureau that CRIF is doing in the field of their services. And today we can represent either a customer of identity services, or we can represent provider of the second layer for the identity services, because the context of the data is something that gives the data the power, I think. And in some specific use cases or on some specific markets, we are also operate as an identity provider. because as if I can follow a little bit on previous panel discussion, as already mentioned, we are living in the area of the European market, which is quite fragmented in terms of standardization, not only identity services, but also access to the data and so on, payment services and so on. So today, I hope that we will discuss not only high-tax approach, but also the implementation path for the identity services, which is behind us, as I supposed to.
I see lots of connecting points between credit rating and fraud detection. It's not exactly fraud to have a bad credit rating, but we use similar system to rate customers and find clusters of customers, because it's all about finding clusters in the end of the day. That's my follow-up question to you before Vladimír Vaňo, please.
Yeah, for sure. As colleague mentioned, if you have a data, if you have a lot of data, you can do a lot of things as well in the area of fraud prevention. The key question is how big is your barrier you built as a market player or as a market itself to enter the fraudster to your area. And my experience in this field is that also the fraudster makes their own return on investment, their own strategies, and at the end they are lazy boys, so they are focusing on the fields that the premium is easier to catch. So definitely, if you have a data like we have in Credit Bureau, you can help the member of this association to build the barrier. And I think we are in our CE region in a quite good condition because for many times we are trying to measure especially the application fraud rate, and we are living in a quite safe place from this point of view.
Thank you. We move over to Vladimír Vaňo and then with Dr. Kevin.
Good afternoon. Thank you very, very much for the invitation to this prime fintech conference in Central and Eastern Europe, I dare to say. From my viewpoint as an economic researcher, the key question, especially in the last 2 years, is does all this technological revolution that we are experiencing, especially with the artificial intelligence, pose more a risk or an opportunity for the fintech sphere and the banking as such? The most notorious example is an example of the CFO in Hong Kong who was a victim of a deepfake video fraud, which effectively wired $25 million out of the company, just impersonating him. But that's, again, something that's raising a lot of the questions like AI is coming and we will all get defrauded. The way I'm looking at it is that this is just a part of ongoing decade-long trend, which will basically boil down or cut out the unnecessary overhead cost in the financial services, and will basically boil down the financial services to the gist, which, from my viewpoint, the true business of financial institutions is selling trust on one side and buying risk. And I would maintain that all these technological advancements are highly useful on both of these sides, on the side of selling trust, the identity solution, and even more so on effectively filtering the risk. The models that already are being tested, for example, by social media companies, are basically assessing your credit score based on your social media activity. So just to sum it up, from my viewpoint, similar story as with the online media. There was statistics recently that over 50% of articles being published online are being written by the artificial intelligence. And then the question is, aren't there a lot of the bots that are actually reading those artificial the AI-generated content. But coming to the topic of this panel, I would maintain that AI will be effectively a very strong tool for against fraudsters, and very effective tool to lower the risk of the fraud. Where I see the problem is that especially in the fintech area, AI is sort of like a teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it. Few actually know how to do it.
Thank you, Vladimir. So we will continue, and we're missing our expert on the sustainability goals, and there's little I can do about that right now. Anybody here who think they have anything interesting to say regarding the 17 United Nations sustainability goals or not? Because if you have, we can continue that topic at least briefly and hopefully dive deeper into it in a short while.
Maybe I have one comment on the fact that in the discussion regarding digital identity and cybersecurity, we are addressing also ESG topic, which most of the people connect with only one thing, which is the sustainability related to the nature, so the sustainability. If I may, what I see from the mass replay. But of course, the governance of the part of the ESG, it's something that we need to pay attention in general, and security in general. I think it's a necessity, an essential part of the approach of any responsible company.
Yes, and we've been covering quite a lot of ground on the social aspects on earlier panels when it comes to digital exclusion versus accessibility in connection to things like KYC, as well as access to platforms and IT knowledge, basically. And we live in Slovakia, most of us here, some in Czech Republic, but we know that the large portion of the Slovak population is not up to doing their business digitally and So that is a real issue we have here. So we do cover the social aspect as well, not only the environmental regarding our carbon footprint. And I think we move over to Vladimír Vaňo here, a famous Slovak economist.
One quick comment regarding your question about sustainability. And that's similar. My schoolmate, who is actually a nuclear scientist, likes to make this joke that within the Maslow hierarchy of needs, we know this, that at the very bottom there is the need to have a charged battery, and even lower is the need to be connected to the Wi-Fi. And he likes to make jokes. Well, and then we assume that the electricity or charging of the battery comes from the electricity plug, right? And that's the same very important point about the application of the AI to the whole fintech sphere. And what we are seeing actually in the last weeks is that the companies that we perceive to be technological companies, including the social medias in the US, are actually actively and massively investing in building up not only data centers to operate all these huge AI armies, so to say, but these huge AI armies would not be in existence unless they were powered, and the amount of power that will be needed, all the macroeconomic projections when it comes to the need for the adequately priced, let's put it this way, because what we see also in the United States, because of this ongoing AI revolution this year, we see the price of electricity going up because the demand is simply outstripping the readily available supply. So when it comes to sustainability, especially here in Europe, we must face the reality and simply ask the question, if we want to keep step with the other big competing blocks, not only US, let's talk about the China, we need to, before we go into these nitty-gritty details of the AI models, we need to ensure sufficient supply of adequately priced electricity. And there I would say this topic counterintuitively brings back to the fore the question, is nuclear energy sustainable green energy or not? I know it's causing a lot of feelings, especially 100 kilometers away from here to the west. But I would maintain, or at least that apparently is the trend. And unless we want to go the way where Germany went in the past years and is reconsidering it, we need more sustainable, and I dare to say nuclear power sources if we are serious about developing the AI at scale. Otherwise, we just hit the roadblock, and we will not be able to actually pay for not only the processing power, which is creating these big waves, the 5 trillion market capitalization of NVIDIA, before we even start using all those chips. We need to ask ourselves the question, how do we sustainably generate all this huge amount of electrical supply? So there actually the unintended consequence of this whole revolution is going back to the very basic, and the very is where do we get the electricity from, and it's certainly not from the power plant.
Well, that is the grim reality. You need electricity. And in Europe so far, north of Scandinavia, Iceland, and the Iberian Peninsula, these are the only 2 areas of Europe where you have plentiful of fairly reasonably priced electricity. And the only reason it's cheap, there's no way to transfer it to the core of Europe, and that's why it's cheap. And if it remains that way, the data centers will be built in these places. I'm not part of the panel, but Spain do have a big IT boom and a data center boom right now, and it's doing really great. And lots of IT jobs are therefore created in the areas around Madrid and so on. So there is possibilities in some parts of Europe. But that said, center of Europe will not copy Germany in Energiewende because it's not a very good shop window to show to the rest of the world.
I want to comment one thing because I have a friend of mine that is quite a great speaker, but when we are talking about AI, I ask him, okay, but you don't have any, let's say, knowledge about AI, about data statistics, about machine learning and so on, and why do you do that? And he mentioned, Roman, I am great of faking these topics. So it is really, let's say, sad part, but definitely when we are talking about AI era or AI, let's say, topics, we need to, let's say, divide it. Solution created by the engineer that really know what to do, and the engineer, they are using some AI models to generate some code, and when some problems occur, they just asking AI, okay, what's wrong, what's happening, and they don't have this knowledge. Because when I make some review of the architecture and when I have some, let's say, guys in the call and asking that question, okay, what's happening? Where is the problem? How do you handle, for example, with data cleaning and so on? So I very often listen, man, we don't know. It was just, we just hit the prompt, please clean the data and make it perfect for my solution. So sometimes it is like creating something that you don't understand to some specific, let's say, solution. And when something happen, they just make something like this and try to fix it with AI.
The black box is a real problem. We don't know what happens inside the black box, and that is a real problem. And AI deceives us, it lies to us, and it hallucinates. I'm using AI quite a lot in my work, and sometimes I catch AI and it apologizes for blatantly lying to me. Oh, I didn't check that. I just made an assumption. So we have to keep that in mind. Not only humans are fraudsters, but so is at least large language models. No doubt about it. And that means we still need humans to understand what we're doing. Otherwise, we'll be completely lost to the technology.
Yeah, I think there are lots of images when the people thinking that, okay, AI takes some jobs from DevOps engineer, AI engineer, and so on. And basically, as you saw 2 weeks ago, AI has huge outage that was caused that some DevOps engineer was replaced with AI. And this quite situation occurred because none of DevOps engineer was in the, let's say, in the position, and AI, let's say, act as a source of truth. And this problem was not able to, let's say, fix immediately, and took few hours to fix this issue, and that caused lots of troubles.
Okay, let's continue with our court. Or you want to say something on this as well?
Yeah, for me it's too wide a discussion, so we are jumping from topic to topic. But I fully agree that the way to rely only on one technology, doesn't matter if you call it AI or whatever, doesn't work at all, and it didn't work in the history as well. So now after some sort of period when everyone was exciting what the technology like language models are capable of, now I think we are in the stage that the most of the companies, our industry in general, are applying so-called hybrid models. So supervisors in terms of people that are supervising. Also, in some cases, especially if we are in financial services field, especially discussion about the financial situation fully in AI mode. It's something that that customer don't want. They don't want to rely only on bots or agents or this kind of technologies. They want to be in touch with someone that he understand each other, being human. So I think again, like in each and every technology, we need to balance the cost and pros.
That's interesting, because I've been in contact with customer service representatives, flesh and blood ones, and many times I think I would prefer to interact with an AI bot that is programmed better, because the inflexibility of humans is immense.
True. Just a little quip on that note. Do keep in mind that, for example, many of the law offices are forbidden are forbidding its employees to use AI. Not that they would not trust the machine capabilities, but simply because once you upload your, especially confidential data, the data are out at large, which is something you wouldn't want with your financial situation. So there I see, again, one counterintuitive bottleneck regarding the privacy. And then the other bottleneck, speaking as an economist, is the issue of accountability. If a mistake is being made with your human flesh and blood advisor, it's easy to pinpoint why, when, and by whom the mistake was made. When AI makes a mistake, you can, as we say, go and complain to the priest.
And for sure, we already have AI Act definition, so we know in which area we are not able to use, and we not rely on AI only. So we need to combine these approaches for sure.
I think, and we do it in the company, that we can rely on AI in some specific part, but definitely not to make AI decide on, let's say, on a human perspective. So definitely, AI help us, but in many aspects we can rely specifically on AI.
So where does AI work? Biometric verification? Can you use AI learning models for that? Or you need a human to do the verification and identities, or you prefer other expert systems?
It's quite hard to answer, because in some specific, for example, when there is some authentication and authorization process, this is definitely when AI can handle this situation. But when we are for example, taking some, for example, images or taking some fingerprints, there is definitely a way how to use this, let's say, human, let's say, authentication in different kind of system. So I think it is really necessary to take on count the risk when the AI can be, let's say, helpful, and when the, let's say, AI can be in some situation very risky, because when, for example, when I took my images and when I use my face as a, let's say, authentication or authorization and provide this information to AI, it can be used in, for example, in bank institution or different kinds of institution. And yeah, I don't want this way to be, let's say, to allow AI to make some solution for me. So yeah, it is hard to say sometimes.
That's exactly. AI can be used for frauds. You can basically scan a person's picture, AI enhance it, and then use that as for facial recognition to access other people's systems. Yeah. So face recognition is one of the least secure ways to enter a system. That's what I would like to say, because you basically need a picture of somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding of eIDAS, either one or second generation, is about something what I mentioned. It's about the distribution of the infrastructure of the trust and distribute the trust to the points where you need to verify who is in front of the final device. And in terms of technology, I think it's we are in the stage that we will be now in a continuous discussion of what will be the best in that period of time. Because in the meantime, during the lunch break, I spent some words about quantum computing, which is not on the table because it's still somehow in laboratory. But we know that the technology will come and will break a lot of things that we are now using and we are now relying on. So from that point of view, I think it's not about specific technology, about specific method of the authorization, but it's about the level of the trust you put on the overall system. By the way, we are running, we call it SOCL, Identity Hub for the German market. We are supporting 8 identity methods that are available on the market, that are supported by the regulators. Depends on the risk definition of the business model of the customers. But it's at the end it's a mess because you need to maintain something like that. eIDAS for majority of the market puts the way this maintenance just only to the identity provider, which is I think the best benefit.
And I'll just briefly challenge you, Johan. According to the survey that I found in the research that I did before this conference, actually 99% of the institutions say that they are deploying AI to fight the fraud. So I would not underestimate this ability of putting the computer to play against the fraudster computers. And there I dare to say, although I'm not a technician, there I would argue that the machine trying to detect if the attempted fraud is being run by another machine is certainly doing a better job than the flesh and blood human.
I completely agree with you there, Vladimir. It's really that AI can detect AI better than me, and at least quicker and in larger amounts. And can be automated. I mean, me as a professor, I read student papers. If I spend a lot of time reading them, I can see if they're AI generated. But imagine a corporation having thousands of documents or pieces of information flowing in every day. It's not feasible to have a human scrutinizing them. It's not feasible. So for this way, this have to be automated. But I will throw out a hook here that might be quite scary. Lots of institutions are using online onboarding. And what you basically do is you photograph your ID card or passport, maybe a utility bill, and take a photo of your face. I can see many ways how I could I could Photoshop it, let's say it like that. It's extremely insecure. So if we want to reach a higher level of security, we need some sort of online ID system like the Swedish Scandinavian Bank ID, which is an app you have on your phone or something like that. You need something else. Just this scanning an ID card, taking a photo of a utility bill for your address, and then a photo of your face. I could easily open up an account for somebody else.
If your question is who should be scared, I think anyone who underestimates this risk. Because, as I mentioned, in some markets we are providing the choices. So Identity Hub, and you can choose which identity method you could support in your onboarding process. And very often, especially outside the financial sector, which is, by the way, I think the most critical part, because the banks anytime invest, and that's why we can say they have a trust, not only because they are financial institutions, but because they follow the technologies and invest in the protection in many ways. But in other sectors, these risks are very underestimated. And we see that the e-commerce players, for example, in previous discussion, there were discussion about buy now, pay later models and alternative financial schemas and so on. And all of these players that are not natively from the financial sectors are choosing only the cheapest onboarding process possibly, which is totally the risk for sure. But I think this will change very quickly with the eIDAS 2 and so on.
And the reason for that is they don't have any responsibility when things goes wrong, or why do they choose the cheapest solution? Because let's say I'm an online vendor. If somebody pay with a fake card, the worst thing is I won't get paid for that fairly small sale, so why would I care? Is that the risk that the vendors not held responsible? Is that why they have no incentive to pay for better solutions?
Good question. Of course, at the end, if some channels are not working financially well for them, they can stop providing them because they are not relying on them. They are selling the goods. They are not selling the financial products. So from that point of view, again, they are trying to find a way. Also, how to balance the question we already raised, the accessibility of their service to the customers, which is another aspect. If you put too many things in front of the customer, you need to use this app, you need to this document, and so on and so on. It makes the obstacle also for your real customers. So again, it's a balance. It's a different point of view they are following, but it's generate, I think, some kind of another risk that is now under the radar.
Vladimír.
Just a very quick comment on that, because it's always good to boil down this discussion to like basic principles, and what you exactly mentioned, the security versus accessibility, that's something that has been here long ago, long before the AI, already when internet banking started. And I remember my former colleague who ditched his bank because he literally was not able to install a complicated internet banking app, which was super safe, but very cumbersome, and so he ditched it for something easier, accessible online. But this discussion, accessibility versus security, has been here since the very first computer. I remember my former colleague, the chief technical officer, responsible for quite a huge operation of London-based publicly traded technological company. He taught me one thing: the only secure computer is the one that's turned off. From my viewpoint, as we like to say in economics, you cannot prevent the flood. You can just prepare for it and cope with it. And This is something that's here. I have a lot of statistics which do show that in these initial stages, everybody is or pretty much everybody is victim of some sort of the fraud. But again, going back to pre-AI era, quoting again my former schoolmate, much smarter than me. He went in IT geek, and he is active in the cryptography, deciphering all the complicated encryptions. And he said, any code, even the most sophisticated and the most expensive encryption, can be broken with the adequate application of the computing power. He just says, at the end of the day, even these fraudsters need to make a business case. Does it make sense to invest 1 million to break into your bank account to reap a couple of thousands of profits?
But I know that these things happen to high net worth individuals, that fraudsters sit outside their house for up to a month in a van, basically scanning electronic signals to pick up banking data and so on, for then in real time transfer money away from their bank account when they're actually logging into the bank. These things happen, but not to people like me. I'm perfectly safe for people spending a month on me.
I have a very funny situation because my boss ordered some USB connection to his computer, and when he plug in, this cable automatically sends some sensitive information to some server. So basically, when he used this, some USB accessory longer, that definitely some specific or sensitive data could be sent to different kinds of servers, and this is a really big issue.
Time is flying, but please. Yeah, I would say something that was mentioned, I think, not strongly enough, at least. I think we discussed a lot about how to break the code, how to break the technology. I think today fraudsters are not so focused on this, because they have plenty of situations that through the AI you can accelerate, and it's based on social engineering.
That was exactly what I wanted to come into. Very good. So how have AI changed social engineering and changed the fraudsters' landscape or ecosystem?
I mean, dramatically, because our race to move the technology forward has one issue. Not all the society can follow the race and can understand what's going on in terms of their main asset, which is their own identity. So I think the capability to grab the information about any one of us through the capability of AI from the public sources, at least, accelerate the fact that anyone can say, I am Ondřej Dvořák, and I'm doing that, and that. And again, the cases with the fraudulent video calls towards the management of the company, it's the reality. Before AI was in this situation, I was facing the case when our HR partner office came to me and asked me, please, Ondřej, do not abuse our rules, because to change your bank account for the salary, it needs to follow these rules, and you broke it. I said, what? Who did it? And they received the email perfectly describing a request that please change my account for the paying your salary, my salary to this. Completely faked, completely based on my public profile. So this is not about AI. It was before AI, but now you have everyone have the possibility to grab this information and to even ask the AI, please advise me what should be the great scenario to steal the money from someone. So this is, I think, the stuff that also we need to take into consideration.
That reminds me of a case we have where somebody actually used social engineering to pretend to be somebody else and got a job inside a stock brokerage company. And then an outsider who'd been, again, using a deep fake to be somebody else. And the stockbrokers make random trades every day and booked all the losses of some dormant account that was checked like once per year and booked all the profits on his or her friend outside the organization. And then they withdraw a couple of million and nobody know who they are.
Yeah, definitely. I think this weekend, or I think maybe this or previous weekend, we received lots of emails from Microsoft that it was like a Microsoft server provider or something like that. And definitely it was not just the first letter, not was the micro M, it was like RN. So it looks really similar like M. So, but definitely it was like, okay, if you don't face any consequences, please change the password on this following link and so on. But definitely we already faced this issue, not just from Microsoft, but from different kind of providers. So yeah, we are quite good with it.
I always get those from eBay and from places like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely from Spotify or something like that.
So, phishing on steroids.
That's basically phishing. Yes.
That was accelerated by the AI.
We will continue, and we all know about the European Union initiative regarding electronic identities, eIDAS 2.0. Who want to delve into this question? Because it's a big question, and I would like to know where's the status of eIDAS 2.0 now. Is it really a chance that we will have one directive that will fit all countries and can actually be implemented in the near future?
We are not part of the first wave of being the identity provider, but for sure we are trying to monitor the process. And as I already mentioned, I think the overall infrastructure proposed makes sense and gives the good framework, good potential to build some sort of standardization, which is again needs to help to educate the people to say this is the next level of your plastic ID card. Let me say it like that. On the other hand, the scale and the flexibility and the level of the standardization seems to me a little bit similar to what PSD2 was in 2018. And in the end, since we are providing the operations under the PSD2 umbrella through many countries, we have still several standards. And if you look at to the data from Germany and you look at to the data from Czech Republic, if you would like to use the use case from Germany, for example, identity service, which is possible through the existing open banking concept, it's not possible in Czech Republic because Czech standard is not give you enough personal data in the response. So I'm afraid that again, idea, concept, structure, and the level of the standardization is a good way. But the very big question will be on how it will be in reality implemented, and who will be the leaders in the trust of these systems towards the markets.
PSD3 is coming now, and they want to solve some of the problems with PSD2, including the problem with sharing data, so more standardized AIPs.
Yeah, I think the evolution is anytime good, and if the evolution is based on the reasonable feedback from the first wave, it makes sense, and I agree that it has potential. I think still there are some issues that for identity service are not so strong. Because for PSD 2 or 3, if you are talking to providing the raw data, transaction history specifically, it was mentioned again in the previous discussion, you push the owner or co-owner of the data, meaning the banks, to do so for free, which is the conceptual framework that works to spread the standard, but it's really hard to adopt it widely on the business level. So I hope that this is not part of the identity, because it's much more industry spread. It's going through much more industries, and it will be used also or pushed also by the governments, which is not the case for PSD2. So I'm very optimistic, and we will see who will be the winner of this race, because now there is plenty of players.
And then we have the countries already have a working solution, and they may not be interested in some new standard because they already have something that works for them.
Yeah, I think Czech Republic can play this role as well, because the bank ID concept is very similar to what the new framework of EU digital identity will bring. I think since we know that the Czech banks are part of this initiative as well, we hope that there are positive experience, and I think successful adoption curve will bring their advantage, because it really works, and it really brings the added value not only for the financial sector, but it really onboard the people to use the wider services from the sectors, like state institution, utility institution, and when I see the data of the already used and registered users of the bank ID, it's really promising for the next stage as well.
Yeah, I want to mention that when we are working with the partners from USA, from Europe, and so on, the main part definitely is, or the most part of work is definitely in the European Union, because when we stored some data on AWS cloud, that is spreadly in USA, China, Europe, and so on. Some financial institutions, some insurance institution give us the data, and we need to store in some specific way. But definitely when we are working in some, let's say, Poland institution, and especially some Poland bank, each bank has some regulations, some specific type of how to store data, and we need to, in each of these, let's say, institution, we need to work in different way. But in USA, mainly in USA, it is like, okay, this is the norma, and please use it when storing some data. And when we use or work with another, let's say, company that are located in USA, okay, this is our normas. Yes, please work on it.
Yeah, I think the interoperability will be the key word, even if the eIDAS gives you the standard. Too many players mean too many slightly different things, too many brands, too many standards, too many trust partners. So this is not something that eIDAS gives you as a granted way.
We're short on time, so just one major question. What will we have in the future? Decentralized identities, is that a realistic future, or will traditional models just evolve? And will we actually build zero trust architecture, or is it just a buzzword? So one question for you each here, and a quick reply because we're running out of time. Who wants zero trust architecture to begin with?
It depends on which social bubble you are living. I think from my perspective, definitely it's not a buzzword. It's a reality we are living, since we are a corporate player across 40 countries, and security is essential part of the journey of CRIF from very beginning for last 35 years. Sorry. So this is something that we know it's time coming, that it will be far beyond us, and maybe I don't know if it's already public, but since we are living in Czech Republic, Slovakia, we could say we already go beyond these things, also by the fact that we move our main services to the cloud, which was unthinkable a few years ago. CRIF was very proud on their data centers in Italy and other countries across Europe. And we see that the challenges in the security area that are behind us are so great and so powerful potentially with the potential to hit the trust we built for the last 30 years, that we skip and rely on someone who already set a certain level of the security measurements in this field.
And the last question, what will win? Traditional enhanced models for identification or true decentralized identification? For one of you. Vladimir or... Okay.
I don't dare to answer this very technical question, but just one brief last message regarding the macroeconomic forecasts. So zero trust architecture in Europe is forecasted to, according to reputable research consultancies, is forecasted to grow by almost 20% in the next 5 years. So viewed from this side, it's here to stay and it's here to grow. Let's see what the future brings.
Do you include quantum safe encryption in your idea and concept of zero trust architecture, or is that just an add-on that we may see in the future?
Maybe it is possible to see in the future, but I think let's say, centralized hub for security isn't the best way, and definitely when we are talking about the cloud providers and so on, so the responsibility for, let's say, each company for a particular reason are, let's say, divided into different kinds of levels and different kinds of, let's say, responsibility, because when someone, definitely when someone cause some errors, definitely there must to be some, let's say, different kinds of levels that could fix this issue. And I think rely on one specific one specific hub, it is even in these, let's say, divided situation or institutions, that is definitely impossible for me.
Thank you. One question from the audience. So far, any AI regulation in the CEE? Well, EU have the AI directive, so yes, it's regulated. We don't have time to go into that regulation, but you can ask your favorite AI prompt. You can make an AI prompt and find out more, I'm sure. So yes, it's regulated for private industries. And as we heard in the earlier panel today, it's not regulated for authorities' use, for law enforcement, and for military use. So it's regulated for the private enterprises, private organizations in general, but not for the public organizations.
Which brings along the, again, philosophical challenge, whether this regulation will not push out especially development and research in this area outside of the EU. And the jury is out there and the future will show, but that's something that I would just like to point out. So certainly AI could be a dangerous tool, but I would look at the other side of the coin, and that was what I mentioned at the very beginning, the AI as a tool against fraudsters, including the machine-type fraudsters.
Thank you. It's like I heard one other speaker saying, he said that the AI train already left, and EU is not even standing on the platform waving the train off. They're in the taxi in the traffic jam on the way to the train station.
A very good quip.
And with that, it's time to round this off. Anybody want to add some last words? Or otherwise, I would just thank the panel for your great contribution. It was great to have you here. You did a fantastically good job on covering fraud with AI and the obstacle with identification. And I was very happy to hear that we really are getting zero trust architecture, and that is growing fast, because this is one thing I've been thinking about, and I wouldn't say to keep me sleepless at nights, but it's a very important part for IT integrity and security to be able to stem more frauds before they actually occur. Thank you.